Keila, we are live with our Royal Rumble post-game show here. I hope this is an early show, and I'm usually right around this time. I'm expecting to kind of think about what kind of food am I going to have for the Royal Rumble. We're not supposed to already be done with this show by at least 6 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. your time. How was your experience watching this during the day for us?
It was a little different, but I'm glad that it's over because technically it would start right about now, ironically enough. But I'm glad that we're done. I get to enjoy the evening to myself, relax, and go to sleep to watch tennis by 3:30 a.m. my time.
Oh my gosh, I forgot Australian Open is still going.
Yes, the men's finals is late tonight.
So so the idea of having something else to do today is actually pretty exciting. We are going to see our local Broadway version of The Wiz. When's the last time you saw the movie The Wiz?
Ooh, I think it was last year.
Oh, good.
It was
I,
last year.
I haven't seen it myself in a little while, but
Yeah.
I did watch it many times when I was younger. So not I don't think well, I did see not that long ago the Michael Jackson musical. So maybe the same guy playing Michael Jackson in that musical will play the Scarecrow in The Wiz. That would be fun.
Now, ironically, MJ Live is in Atlanta at the Fox Theater, so he might not be able to make your show tonight.
Oh man. All right, we're just goofing off, just giving people a chance to get in the live here, our YouTube live. So I want to start this off by we'll go through. I have all the eliminations, I have all the entrances, I have both Royal Rumble matches all laid out in words, and we'll go through those as we talk about the show. But I had some like kind of key takeaways as I was watching the show. And let's get this one out of the way because, of course, the show's in Saudi Arabia. The idea of using WWE to kind of normalize Saudi Arabia in the eyes of Americans is a pretty big deal. We've been dealing with this now for many, many years with WWE content. But this is the first Royal Rumble, and I think I don't think you could normalize it in the way that maybe you could have in other shows, because by having a women's Royal Rumble, you had 30 women all in different gear, and it stood out in a elephant in the room kind of way. So the very first match on this show already makes you go, okay, this is different. This is weird. There's something going on here. Oh yeah, they're in Saudi Arabia. Like, did you get that feeling right from Jumpstart here?
I always get that feeling anytime that they're in Saudi Arabia, especially when there's a women's match in the Women's Royal Rumble. We've been talking about this for a year now. We were going to see 30 cat suits.
Yeah.
We were going to. And when you get like a WrestleMania in your country now for next year, I think maybe you should loosen the restrictions a little bit now. All this money you're pouring into WWE, can you make some concessions regarding how the women are dressed? I just don't know.
And I know that part of the deal is to get the WWE superstars to talk positively about this environment and about the culture. Historically, we have the CM Punk blood money tweet at the Miz, and now, he's happy that he gets to go. So a reversal there, and he kind of has to do that because they get so much money. The women, taking photos as if they're on vacation and being very positive about it. Like, I understand all of those things, but the idea of 30 women to start this show and they're all wearing different clothing, it just like hit you right in the face from the beginning. And then they're in this newly built arena, which was very quickly built, and the crowd was like, I couldn't tell like how many people were actually there. There seemed to be a lot of empty seats. It reminded me of social distancing wrestling cards right out of the pandemic. Like, that's immediately how I felt watching this show. What, like, did you hear anything about why? I'm assuming because the arena was built so last minute, maybe they didn't know how many seats they were going to have. Like, what's the story behind the lack of people there?
Well, allegedly, the seats can fill 25,000 people. And then when you look at the wide shot, it looks empty, but those are like LED lights. A lot of LED lights that I don't understand regarding the infrastructure of how they put it together, because it makes it look like it's an empty stadium when it's people there. We saw it like topped up during the main event when the lights are on, but like on the side cam, you see these empty spots, too many LED things. It reminded me of where the Clippers play at the Intuit Dome. Like all the LED stuff is very distracting when it could have been, I don't know, seats to be filled versus all that space that felt very empty. It didn't look very cosmetically pleasing to the eye when you see all of that open space for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. It was a weird experience. And if you're ESPN and this is your very first Royal Rumble on the new network, and then you see this like oddly lighted arena, and you can't actually tell how many people are there, and the crowd noise, especially in the beginning for this women's match, was very low. Like like they popped for, of all things, Brie Bella and Yes kicks at least, but early on in that women's match, they were just really, really quiet. And throughout the show, there were like some interesting, like LA Knight comes out and it's like, their favorite, the favorite wrestler of the audience. But other moments, it was just like no reaction. So it was just a weird experience. And I tried as much as I could to kind of put that out of my mind, but it was almost impossible. Like, if the idea is for these shows to normalize this society and culture, it did not do that at all. It actually stood out like a sore thumb to me. And so, as I was talking about this, I thought, you know what? I got to support the Power Bombshells. I got my Power Bombshells shirt on because as I'm watching the show, I kind of have, Sam and Mel in the back of my mind as they're in my head saying, this is what the show is. But so let's break down the winners here. And then, like I said, at the end of this show, we'll go over all the eliminations and we'll just go through the whole match. But Liv Morgan wins the Women's Royal Rumble. And, this one wasn't too surprising. I think we had seen a report a couple of months ago about how she is heavily involved in their WrestleMania plans. So this one didn't come out of nowhere, but it was nice to see her get the dub because I think they said that she's the only one who's been in every single Women's Royal Rumble match, right?
Outside of Natty. That is
outside
correct.
Natty. There you go.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Liv?
Long overdue. She has been the bridesmaid for the last few Royal Rumbles, the runner-up, getting knocked out in the runner-up spot. Glad that she had that moment tonight to get the W, to be in a prominent spot at WrestleMania, because there was a concern when she came back, is she going to be a center focus in the women's division? And now you have your answer that she will be a part of WrestleMania vying for a championship. So I love that for her. The genuine emotion of her winning. It's been a long journey for her to get to this point, and I'm glad that WWE finally gave her the win.
So on the men's side, we saw a very interestingly booked Royal Rumble. Roman comes out at the end. I forget, he was in the 20s in some way, and he wins it at the end. Like, I think a lot of people thought he was going to win. I didn't like the way that they brought him back. I thought it was kind of silly that he doesn't even show his face. He's going to come back and win this very important match. That's the way that they did it. And, Roman is a giant superstar, and he is, he's the man. So he's going to headline WrestleMania for one of those nights. What did you think about Roman's win?
I kind of figured he was going to win midweek, so this outcome wasn't surprising to me in the least. I know they pivoted away from Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania to run it back 3 times in a row. So I do like the fact he won the Rumble, and now I presume he's going to face CM Punk at WrestleMania for one of those nights. And it keeps a streak alive that this man has main evented the last 6 or 7 WrestleManias, which is remarkable. Good Lord.
All right, I just want to show that I have this post. Liam Burkle says, this is nonsense. The reactions are pretty good throughout. Just because it doesn't follow your narrative, don't try and influence. I'm not sure if you understand what podcasting is, Liam. Like, podcasting is analysis on what you just saw. So if what you saw with the Royal Rumble was like every other Royal Rumble that you've ever seen, and you didn't see, the women in the costumes differently, and this odd seating of this arena that was just recently built, like if that is your cup of tea, and you can say that this is what you honestly believe, so be it. But we have to talk about this stuff. Like, this is in our face. This is on ESPN. This isn't nonsensical, something that's not important. WWE gets paid a lot of money for these shows. So we're going to talk about it. And you have to point it out, because if you don't point it out, then you're just a mark for WWE. And I'm never going to be a mark for WWE no matter what. Okay, so a couple of other things. So AJ Styles, he is done, at least we think, based off of the stipulation. He and Gunther had a really, really good match, and we'll break the whole thing down in a little bit. Were you surprised at him passing out like he did? It's essentially the same way that John Cena lost, though. I don't know. AJ had a little bit more stamina than John there, I think, at the end. John kind of went out a little quickly, made like a little bit like a punk compared to AJ. But he goes out just like Cena. He passes out. Referee gives him one arm up just to make sure to double check. He's out. Gunther wins. AJ stands in the center of the ring. He's about to take his gloves off. Nope, puts his gloves back together so he can do his signature pose. Leaves the ring, comes back in, goes to the turnbuckle, stands at the top, gets his music played, and he's out. What'd you think about that whole thing?
Shinsuke Nakamura didn't lie. His poem told the truth. He said, "I'm done at the Rumble." I was surprised, honestly, because I thought that the main event of Monday Night Raw left the door open for AJ to come back and win this match against Gunther. But if you're trying to build Gunther up as a guy that's a career killer now, that's his gimmick, you got to put guys down. You got to make it believable. And he put AJ to sleep. Now, do we think that AJ's done? I honestly don't think so. And I think a more formal retirement will happen for AJ probably next year, because I think he's going to go on a bit of an excursion to close out his career.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I was on Wrestling Observer Radio yesterday, and I asked Dave Meltzer, is it possible that he is just done with WWE and he can still go somewhere else? And of course, the place that exists that is almost perfect for someone like AJ Styles, actually it is perfect for someone like AJ Styles, is AEW. Will Ospreay just tweeted the words "phenomenal" after the match was over. Could he go to AEW? I don't know if Tony Khan would be okay with like a 1-year deal. They are more in the, you when you're signing guys, you're talking about 3 and 5 year deals, maybe 3 at a minimum. If AJ really, really wants to end his career, sooner than later, I don't know if that could happen in AEW. There is the opportunity for TNA, but I imagine if he wanted to do TNA, he could have done TNA all last year, maybe if he could have worked that out. But it is an interesting predicament, because the money is so big for him to retire now. He has not been this in demand, at least as far as I can tell, for maybe since he got here in WWE. Like, he can actually call his shot right now because he is so over, and people are so into the idea of the wrestlers crossing over. And it feels like he's just going to be throwing away money if he doesn't entertain this opportunity.
I think he will. Clearly, he's not done. It just depends on the parameters of how he wants to do it. I can't imagine Tony saying, "Hey, I'll sign you to a 6-month contract for fulfill all your fantasy matches." I don't think he would do that. But at the same time, you're trying to honor the retirement match stip. Cena has done that effectively when he made his announcement almost 2 years ago about his retirement from WWE. So do you kind of keep that idea in line? Do you honor that to a point while also knocking off your bucket list matches before you formally retire? Because I think if this is the end of the road for the WWE run, it was flat, honestly speaking, because at least you want to end on a better note than this. Very flat for the last Monday Night Raw, very flat for the Royal Rumble. Like, this is how we going out. Like,
so did you not like the match that they did today?
I enjoyed the match.
Okay.
I think if this is his last day in WWE, this was a very slack way to go out in terms of presentation. Even if he's not done wrestling, his WWE end should have been a bit more better in terms of presentation for me.
So the other thing about this, and I also brought this up on Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave, if WWE knew that he was headed to AEW, would they have done what they did with the Nakamura match, with this match? This match was almost more important to a lot of people than both Rumbles because of what the steps were and because they wanted to see what happened. Would they deliver him to AEW on a platter, or would they look at it as like, look, we're going to celebrate him because he was our guy, and kind of like the Edge thing. But even Edge, who'd been around since the late 90s, Edge didn't get this kind of farewell. Like, this was a pretty darn big deal to where AJ Styles was out in front of the camera more so than he had been in a long, long time.
That is true. But I just wonder, in terms of like final appearances in WWE, especially in Toronto for Monday Night Raw, is that how you want that last appearance to go before he leaves? Because you want it to end a little bit better than that, even though he might go somewhere. He's going to make the decision one way or another. But I would like for him to leave in a better way than that, because it was just so open-ended. He loses to CM Punk. He gets DQ'd because of Finn Balor. So now you wonder, where is that going to go? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know the particulars, but there are rumors that there's going to be more people going from AEW to WWE and more people going the other way. So we're going to see whether they're top tier talent or not. I don't know that for sure, but there are rumors that there's going to be more crossovers. And, we saw one of them today in Royce Keys. I still think they should have called him Royce to 5'11". He showed up, and they even mentioned they had a little graphic that says he's formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs, which was really interesting. But he was one of those guys who's now over. Another one who we didn't see tonight, who we fully expect to see, is Chris Jericho. And I had been feeling that if Jericho was going to return, this would not be it because of kind of what we said with the reactions and the manipulation of Jericho knows how to do this type of thing well. It seems like Chicago for the Elimination Chamber would be better, or whatever the next big Raw or SmackDown is for him, that where he would kind of figure out what the right place is to come back. So this stuff is going to keep happening. And on the other side, you had Tommaso Ciampa show up. I know he has a match on Collision later tonight. So things are kind of popping again in this free agency, I think, and it's really, really good for wrestling because you can do stuff now. I don't know if they did it big enough for Royce Keys, but it was good to see him. I was kind of told, like, more than likely he would be in this match. So I wasn't really surprised, but it's good. I think it's good for pro wrestling in general. It's good for fans to anticipate that this can continue to happen like it did, 3 years ago or so, where it felt like every other week somebody could show up. Now, it's starting to happen a little bit again, which I think is really good for wrestling. Okay. If I have a negative about this show, my one negative is the beginning of the Women's Rumble. I didn't think the beginning was very good, but I did think that it picked up, maybe the last half of it, and really the last like 7 or 8 minutes was awesome. But the other negative of this show for me is the Sammy and Drew scenario. And I brought this up in a couple different places this week because I was actually a little worried because both the AJ and Gunther dynamic and the Sammy and Drew dynamic were like way too similar. Like, how are you going to tell these similar stories of smaller baby faces facing these big bad heels? And I thought the Sammy and Drew match suffered because of having to follow Gunther and AJ. Gunther and AJ, very emotional. Like, you were kind of spent, like, oh man, I can't believe they did it. And then, we had to go through like a 5-minute commercial break, and it's like, oh, Drew and Sammy are up next. Now, how are they going to follow that? And this story was like, Sammy's just getting beat up, and he's getting beat up, and here's a near fall. Here's a near fall. Nope, I don't believe he's winning. I'm not sure he's winning. It doesn't look like he's winning, and then he just loses two kicks to the mug, and he was out of there. I thought that this was maybe a mistake. Maybe they should have actually put this in front of AJ and Gunther instead of after AJ and Gunther. I think maybe if they could Monday morning quarterback this, they probably would have done just that.
To me, the match placement doesn't matter as much because I was emotionally checked out when this match was announced. I knew Sammy wasn't going to win. I had no emotional investment. I didn't believe for 1 second he was going to win that match. So match placement doesn't matter if it happened before AJ and Gunther or after. It wasn't going to affect how I felt because I knew he wasn't going to win. And I feel like we're missing the peak with Sammy. They can wait a whole year to run it back in Saudi Arabia for next year's WrestleMania. But I think the peak with Sammy being a champion, a main champion, the guy, was 3 years ago. And I love Sami Zayn, but the booking is done more harm than good. And I don't think I can wait another year for him to get coordinated at WrestleMania because it's in Saudi Arabia. Because of the setting, now it gets to happen. I can't wrap my head around that and get up for that when we missed a peak years ago. And this match, I knew how it was going to end. I did not anticipate a big upset, and I was proven to be correct.
The idea of Sammy winning the big one, I still think can happen. Like you said, where we were a couple of years ago, they're nowhere near that now. And how do they redo that? How do they get us back to at least close? And I was watching these last few weeks very closely because I was like, okay, if Sammy's going to be in this match, the crowd has to want him to desperately win. The audience has to want him to desperately win. And I saw the way he was being booked on SmackDown, and I was like, Sammy's kind of a dick. Like, if I'm Damian Priest, I want to slap the taste out of this dude's mouth too. Like, I didn't really see him as like that underdog babyface, that Daniel Bryan babyface from 2013. That's what he needs to be, and he is nowhere near that. And these last couple of weeks, I don't think helped either. So kind of frustrating to see what they did, but maybe this is kind of the hurdle, and then he climbs all the way back, to where he was. But that's what we thought last year was, and that's what we thought when he actually beat Gunther was. So yeah, I don't know. It seems to be a little bit too much start and stop with him. Maybe they want KO to come back, and that's a big piece of the story, is to have KO come back, and that can be beneficial to the Sammy story. So maybe that's why we're waiting and seeing. But yeah, it just wasn't there for me, and I kind of felt bad because there was a discussion going on in the Discord, and my buddy Larry Caution said something to the effect of, like, top guys don't grow on trees, stars don't grow on trees. Maybe there is a differentiation point here between who is and who isn't. But I still think Sammy can go up from here. They just have to be really good with the creative, and they got to be constant, and they got to be thoughtful about it, and they need to give him some hurdles, and they need to get those fans invested in Sammy again, which is easier said than done. Okay, let's talk about the WrestleMania matches that we think, you already mentioned Punk and Roman. That seems to be right. I would guess, based on what we saw tonight. I don't think, Roman versus Drew is necessarily on the table. What about for Liv? What do you see with Liv coming out of this show?
Hmm. Probably Liv versus Stephanie because they teased it on television when she first came back to WWE. I see Fernando has a suggestion. I don't foresee that.
Oh,
It would be,
Raquel versus Liv is what Fernando
yeah,
suggested.
I don't foresee it, but I do like the tease of her and Raquel after the Rumble. That might be post WrestleMania because she's got to get excommunicated from the Judgment Day first. That's got to happen down the road. Like Roxanne and Raquel got to put the boots to her, get out the group immediately. So I see that happening down the road. But I do like the idea of Liv versus Stephanie because Stephanie needs a really, really good match at WrestleMania. And I think Liv's a great opponent for her to really pull out the best in each other at WrestleMania. And I think with the landscape being the year that it is, a women's match can potentially main event this year's WrestleMania.
Is that the one that you think would main event?
I have my eyes on something else.
There's another match that's out there.
My eyes is somewhere else, not that one.
That I would love to see, but we didn't see anything set up. Like I'd pick Bianca to win the Royal Rumble. She wasn't even in the match.
Yeah,
like
that is still a shot for me.
So, I think everyone is kind of waiting for the moment for Rhea and Bianca to finally happen. The seeds do not seem to be set because Rhea and Io are still in their tag team, their tag team championship run, and they almost set up more interest in the tag division based on a lot of what happened in the Rumble tonight or today than anything else in the singles. Like, if you think about it, what are you more interested in? Jade versus Jordan Grace and Liv versus Stephanie Vaquer? Or are you interested in Rhea and Io versus Asuka and Kyrie, or versus the Bellas, or versus Lyra and Bailey, or versus, Charlotte and Alexa? Like that, the tag division seems to be more interesting right now than the singles division for the women.
Yeah, and I prayed for times like these, but it's like kind of at the detriment of your singles division too, because it's so stacked with really good singles wrestlers as tag teams right now, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for the singles to shine. And you were left a bit more intrigued by the tag team combinations of the teams you mentioned that could be a really good match at WrestleMania. I think they have to unpack a lot of these teams post WrestleMania, splinter them off, and get back to singles wrestling for these two divisions that need some bodies in there right now because it's top heavy with tag teams. I love to see it because the matches have been very good, but it does create an issue in terms of depth for your women's champions for both shows.
Fernando suggested Jade versus Charlotte, which is pretty interesting. They've kind of been teasing that. I could definitely see that happening. Charlotte as a babyface. Charlotte is more over this year as a babyface, due in part thanks to Alexa Bliss than she has been. So I could definitely see that. I think Alexa has to be involved in some way. Maybe Jade just kills Alexa and Charlotte's got to fight for her in some way. I think that could work. What'd you think of? So there were a couple things, and we'll get to the women's match here in a second. There were two things that stood out to me as kind of like, one, Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker has had so much focus on him. And I was thinking like, oh man, like this is a really good idea. You focus on these up and comers because WWE is still hot. No matter what I think of the creative currently, and no matter what I thought of the creative last year and how bored I was a lot of the time, business-wise, they're still hot. They're still doing really good attendance. I'm sure this show on ESPN is going to end up doing very well for them. But Braun Breaker, who's been the focus of Monday Night Raw for the last couple months, he goes out in the beginning of the match. We had a hooded figure in black black hoodie and black pants, who they wanted us to think was Seth Rollins, but was nowhere near the body type of Seth Rollins. You know who I thought it was for a second? I was like, oh, that's Adam Pearce, but I don't think it was Adam Pearce either. You know who it may have been? It may have been Grayson Waller, who it may have been. I'm not sure. He was a little skinny though. I was trying to think of who is that skinny who could have been in that setup. But so Braun gets stomped out before the match starts, gets tossed in, and then Oba just tosses him immediately. So I thought that was weird. Like, don't you want Braun to kind of shine in this match? Like, I would have assumed that, he's going to be one of the guys highlighted as we get to the end, but he was not. And the other one was Becky. What happened to Becky? She's like the focus of the very first episode of Unreal. She's, just doing her character, her very making fun of Donald Trump kind of character. And she just gets tossed out like so quickly in the Women's Royal Rumble. Those were the two that kind of left me scratching my head a little bit.
I will make 3. That one confused me. The Braun Breaker elimination confused me. The very odd Brock Lesnar elimination confused me as well.
Michael Cole was like looking for something else. And was just like, oh, Brock is out of this match. Oh, and let me go on to what the next thing is. I was like, what's going on here?
The most anticlimactic elimination. And I was like, what in the world is happening? I was like, Brock flew all the way over there for this. And the elimination meant nothing.
Yeah.
It meant very little. I was shocked.
Cody and LA Knight, just, the ultimate duo right there, taking them out.
The new mega powers. Just took them right on out.
Okay, let's go through the all these matches. I have all the eliminations, I think. I think I have them all. Okay, so women's match. Charlotte, number 1. Alexa, number 2. When I was growing up, Demolition Axe and Demolition Smash were 1 and 2 in one of these matches. And we're like, oh, no way. That's so cool. They do this so much now. Like, they have partners follow each other. They have cousins follow each other. It's like, we're not even making it seem random anymore. But anyways, Charlotte and Alexa out together. They were teasing that they're going to turn on each other, but ultimately just decided, no, we're going to be united here. We're going to be homies in this match. They pretended putting each other in moves and such, but they were united until there was an accident down the line here. Kiana James came in, and I thought she was going a little bit too fast, but she's also very athletic, and you can tell that she felt, or at least she's feeling that, that there are eyes on her. Like, they really do think that she's, going to be something. There was a moment, like, very early in this match. It's just her, Charlotte, and Alexa. She does the thing where she's on the apron on the outside of the ring, and she does the shoulder tackle into Alexa. And Alexis was to take the bump so she can be on her back, and then Kiana could do the front, dive over the top rope and hit a move on her. I think Alexa forgot, like, she just sold as if like someone hit her in the stomach, and then she was like, oh wait, I have to take a back bump. And so then she just falls down. Like, I was like, oh no, right in the beginning of this match. I thought, I don't know if I can't tell if Kiana is good or not. That is my thing. I could tell that they like her, but I can't tell if she's going to be able to fill what they want her to fill. What do you think about Kiana's current run?
Kiana has potential. I saw that when she was on NXT. ACL injury has held her back. She's gaining confidence in that knee again, which is good to see. She needs more reps. She needs some heat. I don't think the partnership with Julia is working for me because they don't have natural chemistry. That is an issue. So I think once they separate and let Kiana kind of flourish, and I know that Charlotte sees a lot in her too because they're workout buddies. So if she can kind of go under Charlotte's wing a little bit and kind of up the presentation, find her way as a singles performer, I do see potential with her. I think because of the injury, she's still knocking off the ring rust. We don't see her full potential, but I saw a lot of it on NXT when she was up and coming with Tiffany Stratton a couple of years ago.
Lady B said the Charlotte and Alexa stuff was too cute. They overthought it. Can't wait to see how Tyson Kidd explains this on a future episode of Unreal. Like, can you imagine like Triple H being in the headset of the referee going like, okay, Alexa, pretend to put her in the Sister Abigail. Okay, ref. Okay, now it's Charlotte's turn. Pretend to put her in the figure eight. And now get on each other's back and wave to the. Is like, come on, man. Triple H is doing too much on that show. Okay. Then Nia Jax came in, and her and Kiana James also had a couple of maybe untimed spots together. Then it was Ivy Nile. She started suplexing everybody. There's only 5 people in right now. Lola Vice was in next. I was wondering if Lola Vice was going to be able to do her dance. She was able to do her dance, and then Nia also decided to do her dance. Kiana James, the most impressive thing she did in this match was get Nia Jax in the Samoan drop position and hit it. I thought that was really impressive. Like secretly, Kiana James is like an incredible physique. They kind of, they covered up a little bit, but if you remember her from NXT, she's pretty strong. Candice LeRae was in next. Then Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace went on a little bit of a run here. She dumped out Lola Vice, dumped out Candice, and then she dumped out Ivy. So she's the first one to kind of get anybody out. She got the first 3 out of there. And then Charlotte and Alexa double teamed Nia, and Charlotte hit a big boot on Nia, but then Alexa was hanging on to Nia as well. So she went out with Nia. So this Charlotte and Alexa team, Charlotte went for the big home run swing, and unfortunately Alexa got hit as well. So she was out. And then Becky was in next, and her and Charlotte would add it a little bit. Charlotte a little bit over the top with her trash talk there. And the way that Becky was selling these chops, like it was like a seesaw. Like Charlotte would hit a chop, Becky would like go back, and then Becky would come all the way back to the front so that Charlotte could hit her again. It was a little interesting, a little bit of overacting by both of them, I thought. And then the most awesome person in this match came in at number 10, Sol Ruka. This can we just like not even pretend that she's still in it? Like, why is she not on the main roster in every great spot for the women? Like, what are we waiting for with Sol Ruka? She was the best person in this entire match.
She was fantastic. My prophecies being fulfilled that I said that she was going to be a game changer in the main division for the women's division in WWE. She was fantastic in this match. And even though I knew who was going to win, I was like, can we just call an audible at the very last minute and give Sol the win? She was the glue down the stretch. She provided the spark, the excitement, everything I wanted she gave me. And it's long past overdue that she gets called up immediately after WrestleMania weekend, if not sooner. But they're going to wait until after WrestleMania.
Yes. There were a couple people that stood out, and they, obviously this has created opportunities, right? They see everything in Sol Ruka. So they gave her these opportunities. Similarly, on the men's side, Obafemi and Javon Evans as well. Now, Javon was there more because he can just take these amazing bumps and he can fly all over the place. He wasn't necessarily there to showcase that he could actually win the match, but you could tell who they were trying to put a shine on. And I thought they did a fantastic job with Sol Ruka. Now she had to do her job as well. And it was, I thought she was just excellent in this match. Maxine Dupree came in and she was running. And I was like, why is she running like this? Like, no human runs like this. She kind of had her arms like way up, and she's like, she's kind of tall. And I thought about it. I was like, oh, she must have watched the last Mission Impossible, because that is exactly how Tom Cruise runs in Mission Impossible. And I was like, Maxine, come on. Like, Maxine has some charisma. She has a really cool personality. They've kind of forced her into whatever her role is in WWE right now, which is like this shooter gimmick. And you can tell she's not comfortable in it. Who tells her to do all of these things? Because I know somewhere in there is like somebody who can show joy like she did with the Alpha Academy. With Otis. And she like has a personality. She has a natural personality in there. What are they doing with her?
She's being overcoached. She's being told to pull faces, to do too much. That is a problem for me because she's naturally charismatic. I see it all the time when she's backstage. So they need to tell her not to do those things. And she needs not to listen to those people to do the things that she's doing right now because it's a detriment. She comes off as a cartoon versus being a real person that we know that she can be because we've seen that before. So whatever is going on behind the scenes, whoever is coaching her, a producer, a writer, they need to stop because it's making her look a little foolish out there when she can be so much more than that.
I want to see that Unreal. I want to see
who is it?
Who's the
Bruce
coach?
Pritchard? Bruce? Is it Bruce? I bet it's Bruce. He'll justify it too. We need more character.
He's like, okay, here's what you got to study. Whenever Brie goes into Brie mode, I want you to do that the whole match. Just 100% of Brie mode. It's like, no, Brie mode works because she's firing up. She does it at the right, the very specific time. You can't do it the whole match. Anyways, I don't like picking on Maxine because it's very clear that she's early in her career and she's getting some bad guidance here.
Mm-hmm.
So Natty is in next. She's no longer Natalia. What do you think about this low-key legend nickname?
I love Natty. I love her. I think that she's one of the greats in terms of being a pure wrestler. But no, you're not a low-key legend. You low-key very good at your job. And you've done it so well for almost 20 years. And I love you down. But no, we cannot lie like this.
Do you think that she herself doesn't believe she's a legend, but because she puts the phrase low-key in front of it, she's like, maybe I can be almost a legend, like sort of a legend. Like, I don't know. I don't like that nickname. Natty, if you are a legend, just call yourself a legend. You don't have to qualify whatever it is. But Natty and Maxine, Natty and Becky did some stuff here. So Becky tosses out Maxine, and then Natty's the one who threw out Becky, which is the one I was surprised with. Liv Morgan's in next. Then it was Lash Legend. And talk about another star-making performance here. Somebody who was booked to be a monster in this match. That was Lash Legend. Lash was on the apron, on the outside of the apron. And she put Jordynne Grace on her shoulders and just tossed her out. Zelina Vega was in next. Then it was Raquel. Kiana was going up against both Roxanne and Liv. But then she was booted out by Raquel. So the Judgment Day cleaning up here a little bit. Chelsea Green was in next. Very entertaining. She's very good at her role. Almost like a stand-up comedian in the ring. She wanted to team up with Judgment Day. They said no. Alba Fire was trying to help Chelsea this entire match, and she was hanging on to Chelsea's boots, and she gets pulled into the ring, and then it was clothesline over the top. She also helped Chelsea at one point. Chelsea was about to go out, and she got on all fours so that Chelsea would not touch the apron with her shoes. Julia was in next. Then it was Io. Asuka was number 21. They just decided all the Japanese women needed to be in at the same time. Asuka, Julia, and Io went at it. Then Rhea was in next. Julia booted out Zelina. Rhea threw out Chelsea. Rhea also threw out Roxanne. I didn't mention Rhea. Did I mention Rhea came in? Yeah, but she came in. And then Rhea threw out Roxanne. Bailey was in next. JC Jane was in next. It was good to see JC Jane from NXT. We kind of figured that out because she wasn't on the NXT program. Liv gave Natty the Oblivion, which sent her out some way, some physics experiment there sent Natty out of the ring. And then Nikki Bella came in, then Lyra. Lyra was eliminated by Julia with assistance from Bailey. Out of all of the suits, I thought Lyra's suit actually looked a lot like her ring gear, and it stood out in a good way. I thought she had the best one out of everybody.
I liked her gear a lot. I like Soul's originality of her gear too.
Soul's was cool too, like a modern day Lita.
Yeah, I like Liv's to the details. If you look at the outfit that Liv had on, I like the details of the suit that she had on. Charlotte was extravagant, obviously. So, she had the most expensive cat suit of the entire Royal Rumble. So I'm not going to be mad at her and her eye for fashion.
So then, where am I? Kalani Jordan came in next. I thought she looked good in this match. She has the in-ring piece for a Royal Rumble. She's kind of perfect for this kind of match. Kairi Sane was next. Asuka went out after Kairi was trying to help her. And then as she was trying to hold on to her, she accidentally bonked her out with Io was involved. Then Io threw Kairi out. And so Asuka was very angry with Kairi. And then the pop of the match, Brie Bella was in next. Just so many yes chants. Everybody remembers the Daniel Bryan and the yes chants, and that's who he's married to. So good job for Brie, utilizing that, I guess. Very easy to, I mean, if the crowd's ready for it, very easy little shtick to get them to cheer. And then she did yes kicks on Raquel, and then Tiffany was last as the 30th person. Was there anybody not in this match that you thought was going to be in this match? Like, no Jada Parker, but I guess, that was maybe predictable, but it felt like because Jada was getting a little bit more on NXT, she would have kind of been perfect for this match. Was there anybody else you thought maybe should have been in this match?
Two people, obviously Bianca Belair, shocked she wasn't in this match, and Kendall Gray. I thought that would have been a nice way to put her out there for the Rumble as well. So those two were a bit surprising to me as to why they weren't in the match. I really, really hope that Bianca is cleared soon to come back because she was sorely missed during this match. She would have been my other pick to win outside of Liv last night.
Okay, so then Charlotte and Tiffany go at it, rekindling their WrestleMania feud. Both of the Bellas took out Bailey and Lyra. JC knocked out Kalani Jordan after Kalani Jordan tried to skin the cat. What is skin the cat? Why is that the phrase, by the way? Do you know the origin story of the skin the cat phrase is for someone pulling themselves back over the top rope?
No idea.
The first time I ever saw that was when I was a kid in Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And then all of a sudden it was called skinning the cat, which doesn't sound like something positive, by the way.
No.
JC got hit with the Soul Snatcher, and then Soul tossed her out. Lash herself got both Bellas out at once. And then she also booted out Charlotte, which was interesting. Charlotte was in almost the entire match. Io was trying to pull Charlotte out. And I'm not sure, like, if I was to give Io some advice, I'm not sure if you should put on like an ankle lock as you're almost falling outside of the ring in a Royal Rumble, because all Lash had to do was shake her loose and she was going to fall out. And that's what happened. Lash gave her a boot and Io was out of there. Rhea and Lash went at it, and Rhea finally got Lash by clotheslining her over the top. Raquel chokeslam Rhea over the top, and she bounced off of that apron hard. She gave her the Tejana bomb, and like Rhea's back just bounced off of the apron. That was pretty nasty, or a good bump by Rhea. I'm not quite sure, maybe both. And then Liv Morgan, she did a little bit of backstabbing here as Raquel was celebrating her elimination. Dumps Raquel out, smiling. Liv was just so happy with herself. So it's Tiffany, Liv, and Soul. And someone in our Discord went, I wonder what everybody's going to think about all this blonde hair being in the final three. Hey, these women are great. At least two of these women are such great athletes, Tiffany and Sol. They're the perfect like Royal Rumble competitors. And then, Liv is great. Liv has got fantastic personality. She's recently come back. People want her to get that spot. And I thought it was a really good final three. Sol hits the double Soul Snatcher, and all three of them are over the top and on the apron. Now, this is where, again, if we're giving advice, Sol Ruka, you do not go for the Soul Snatcher when you are on the apron outside of the ring and trying to use the ring post as your jumping off point, because she went for it and Tiffany just pushed her and she was out. And then Liv got Tiffy out to win the match. So overall, I thought it was a slow start, but by the end, I was into this thing. I thought it turned into a pretty darn good match.
Yeah, I feel like it was like a golf analogy. Back nine was great. First nine, it was iffy in spots. Thought the latter part of this match was really good. Final three delivered, obviously. And so, as you said, and she knew it too. She weighed her options, Gigi. She thought to herself, you know what? Is it worth it? Should I do this for the love of the game? Or should I try to go to the main event of WrestleMania? She says, F it, I'm a hooper, and it backfired. I do love the hesitation of realizing, you know what? This could go horribly wrong, and it did.
Yeah, she was like, Triple H said, moments over matches. This is a moment, and I'm going for it. And then, unfortunately, she lost. WrestleMania sitting right here, but I'm going for this moment.
Yes, highlight reel WrestleMania main event. Highlight reel WrestleMania main event.
As long as she stays healthy, she's gonna definitely have her moments. She was awesome in this match.
She was.
Okay, AJ versus Gunther. I was actually surprised that they didn't call back to the calf crusher tap out spot from Raw. I thought that was going to somehow be part of the finish, or at least be a big part of the match. They didn't really do that. And this was just a really strong, really good match. There was a nice transition of AJ getting Gunther in this calf crusher, and then Gunther figuring out that AJ's head was close enough to him where he could use his arm and get him in a sleeper. And so it was like this calf crusher versus sleeper submission battle. There was a springboard splash and a Styles clash, which got the fans really excited. Gunther kicked out of that. Gunther had a sleeper. AJ transitioned into a sleeper. And then Gunther went and cornered the ref, and he mule kicked AJ to get out of that one. Hits the power bomb. And I think a lot of people thought this was the finish. Nope, 2 count. Then we had that long sleeper situation. And, you want to know the kind of pro that Gunther is? So AJ's nothing but hair. He's got hair, long hair. He's got hair on his face. So Gunther's putting this sleeper on. And AJ kind of looks like Cousin It. Like, you cannot see his face at all. And AJ's trying to wipe the hair off, but because Gunther has him trapped between his arms, every time AJ wipes the hair back, it just falls back over because there's nowhere to trap the hair to keep it up. And Gunther's like, I got you, bro. Gunther uses the top of his hand and he removes it from the sleeper hold. And then he pulls AJ's hair back and then he puts the sleeper hold on again. I was like, that's a good brother right there. You always got to show the face. The fans got to see the face. And it just went on and on and on and on. And finally, AJ tapped. Now, he didn't do the John Cena face. Were you disappointed that AJ himself didn't do the John Cena pass out face in this match?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, the choreography down the stretch was incredible as we're trying to see AJ's face in that moment. But let's give AJ props. Unlike John Cena, he didn't smile and tap out. He went to sleep and went down like a G, as you should. You know what? If you're going to go out like that.
Yes.
Don't smile into the sunset. Don't tap out like a little bitch. You go out on your sword, AJ, with your beautiful flowing hair. That's how you do it. I will say, psychology wise, as you mentioned, the calf crusher, that was an essential part of their first match. The tap out, go back to that, build some more drama, but they didn't go there. I loved the physicality down the stretch of
Yeah.
Gunther, really aggressive, chopping AJ, trying to wear him down. But the ending, it felt poetic, and I did not expect it to happen that way. But now we wonder what's next after AJ loses.
Yeah, I imagine he's gonna get a nice little send off on Raw. I'm assuming they'll, that maybe that's what he saved the taking off the glove spot for, is for Monday Night Raw. Um, so yeah, that'll be interesting. Now, what if all of a sudden after that match is over, Triple H goes up to him and goes, "Okay, what's Tony Khan offering you? I'll give you $1 more." And then all of a sudden he's back. Like, that could happen. Like, wrestling retirements don't last forever, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Triple H saying, "How much is Tony cutting you a check for? I will double it. I'll give you the retirement tour John Cena didn't have last year. I give you more than 35 dates. I would give you like first ballot Hall of Fame induction next year in 2027. I'll give you a producer job. What else do you want from me, AJ, to sweeten the pot? Because if he does get like that fond farewell in Philadelphia, which would be a great place to do it, by the way, and then he jumps, it's like, dude, you're just basically giving him free dream matches for the next 9 months. Osprey, Omega, MJF. These are bangers.
He could
That
also go back to
people,
Japan and do
yes,
some stuff in Japan for Tanahashi. Yeah, it would.
absolutely.
It's going to be
It's a
very
gift
interesting.
wrap, a
Yeah,
gift
yeah.
wrapped gift to AJ to have all of his dream matches in 9 months. Swerve. I'm just naming people. Kyle Fletcher, Ciampa now in AEW. That is like an abundance of riches that I would not want to give to someone on a silver platter. But Triple H, he's ballsy. Like, if I can get something out of this for AJ Styles, another jump from AEW to WWE, I'm good with it.
You know what? And if I know Tony Khan the way that I know Tony Khan, and by the way, I don't know him that well, but he has the opportunity to book AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus the newly unretired Christopher Daniels in a three-way. That is so happening on an ROH show.
Oh, God.
Absolutely. That is absolutely happening. By the way, the one I forgot to mention in that, who wasn't in the Royal Rumble, who actually I predicted to be in the Royal Rumble. Liam mentioned this in the chat. No AJ Lee, and no discussion about AJ Lee. I thought AJ Lee was going to be the one who gets Becky Lynch eliminated in this match, and she wasn't there at all.
I was surprised by that. That might explain the very lame elimination for Becky Lynch if AJ wasn't going to make it to Saudi Arabia. Now, maybe she has some standing on business regarding Saudi. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a surprise, because otherwise, I don't think that Becky elimination happens the way that it did, because it was so anticlimactic and so that you wonder what happened with AJ Lee, because I saw that she was on the socials very active this week, on Twitter and on IG. But her not being there, and I think that even Peter Rosenberg said she ain't here. He was very emphatic, like, she ain't here. I didn't see her sneak in at the hotel. She was on the bus. She ain't here.
Maybe Brian Alvarez predicted that AJ was going to be on the show, and Peter was clapping back in a subtle way without naming his name. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what Brian said. So then we talked about the Sammy and Drew match and how just kind of ho-hum, the work was fine, like in a different time on a different show. Maybe if this was on SmackDown, it's probably a totally fine and good match. But on this show following AJ and Gunther, I was pretty disinterested. The story of the match was Sammy's back. He's being brutalized, and every time he does something, he's got to hold his back, which he was excellent at, by the way, because he hit one of his finishers, and he was only able to cradle, or he was only able to pin in like halfway, because he's holding his back with his right hand at the same time. And again, he had some hope spots, but you never really felt that he was going to win this match, which is the hook for this thing, which is what they did get in AJ and Gunther, because when AJ did hit the Styles Clash, there was this glimmer of hope that he was going to win and people were going to be surprised. I never felt that at all in this match. And then, Drew kind of rubbing it in with the double claymores at the end. It just really felt like very final. Like, okay, Sammy is not the guy right now. This is not happening. And we're going back to the drawing board with Sami Zayn. Drew is in the Royal Rumble, or he's a part of one of the eliminations in the Royal Rumble. No Sammy. Sammy wasn't out there to get revenge in any way. So it'll be interesting to see how they rehab Sammy. But yeah, if there was one kind of disappointment in this show from a wrestling perspective and a match perspective, I thought it was this.
I agree. As I said, when the match started, I was very disconnected. I had no faith that Sammy was going to win. And it's going to be very interesting to see how WWE kind of reheats him heading into, next year's WrestleMania. Because if you're trying to build him as the champion heading into that show, you not only have to think about the Saudi crowd, you got to think about the American crowd too. And is there going to be a Sami Zayn burnout? Now, I do see the timeline and people pushing back against him a little bit. If it translates to live shows, then that is a concern for WWE, because the booking has weighed down so heavily on him over the last year or so. His inability to win the big one. And when you put a number out there, 0-12 against Drew McIntyre is crazy. 0-12 is a wild stat that you've never beat this man. 0-13 is next. But then my greatest concern is poor Sammy. Your son is going to look at you as the biggest loser now. Like, my dad can't win the big one. He chokes.
Yeah. It's not good. It's like LeBron against the Warriors in those last two finals.
Yeah.
1 and 8,
at least
man.
He won one. At least he won one.
Well, yeah, he got 2016.
Yeah.
Thanks to him dragging his testicles over Draymond's head and Draymond falling for it.
God.
That's what happened.
Listen, you're glad Scott isn't here to just reprimand you for that.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest moments in Scott's NBA fandom right there. Okay, Men's Rumble, and then we'll get out of here. So Oba Femi was number one. The crowd reacted to him. They knew who Oba Femi was. The music and everything, the whole introduction and the presentation was awesome. Like, I was kind of wondering, because I was like, okay, is there going to be anything different from the NXT version of Oba versus this version? Nope. He just kicks even more ass in WWE right now. So I thought that was awesome. Braun gets attacked by the masked person who we still don't know who it is. It was not Seth Rollins. And they want us to think it's Seth. I think Paul Heyman even yelled that was Seth Rollins. So Oba quickly eliminates Braun, which upset me very much. Solo and Ray were the next two. And then the man is alive. At least he was alive for about a minute and a half in this match. Rusev. It was Rusev time. And Oba quickly dumped both Rusev and Solo. And then he got Ray out of there. So immediately the match starts, and Oba has the first 4 eliminations. And then I don't mean this nickname to be disrespectful, and I did not come up with this nickname, but Mid Cardona, not Matt Cardona. It was Mid Cardona was in next, because he was in next and then he was out so fast. Like, this dude gets his real name, doesn't have to be the woo-woo guy anymore. And he means, like, in the WWE pantheon, or the kind of the hierarchy, he's even less than the woo-woo guy, Zack Ryder. So Cardona was out. Damian Priest was in. And Damian Priest and Oba stuff was actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. The young OG was in next. Javon Evans. He was awesome. Mr. Iguana was in. Then Trick was in. And, Mr. Iguana was going to get in this match because he's a gimmick. But it just shows you that they don't treat the gimmicks necessarily on the main roster as important at all because Mr. Iguana and his little iguana, they were out very quickly, and Trick threw the Mr. Iguana out. Somebody did a double choke slam on Mr. Iguana and the puppet. Who did that?
It was Damian Priest.
Damian Priest did that. So then Cody was in next, then Grande Americano. And Grande Americano put the plate in his mask and started headbutting people. And then the second El Grande Americano came out. This Chad Gable, he was taking his vitamins while he was on his injury leave because that dude was jacked, but didn't mean anything because last year he had a really good Rumble, and this year he got eliminated very quickly by Trick eliminated both Grandes. And then in the thing that pissed me off in this match, after the Braun thing, the other thing that pissed me off the most, Cody just throws Trick out like it was nothing. Like Trick was just like a sidekick. Like Trick was no big deal. And here's why it made me mad. We had Oba in the match. We had Javon Evans in the match. And we had Trick Williams in the match. And then we were about to have Royce Keys in the match. So we were going to have 4 African-American wrestlers who they are actually getting behind, who are actually new energy to WWE. And then whoever booked this match, Triple H signing off, was like, nope, we can't have all 4. We got to get rid of one of them. And Cody, of all people, is going to be the one to throw Trick over the top. I thought this would have been an absolutely great moment to showcase, like, look at these 4 dudes. These 4 dudes are going to be very important to WWE in 2026. And we had to get Trick out of there? Why? Why did we have to throw Trick out at that point in the match?
Yes, and it was a pointless elimination. It was very anticlimactic. And as you said, look at the moment that could have been created with 4 black guys out there that can be main eventers of WrestleMania's future. And then you just decide, let's just get rid of Trick because we've met our quota for tonight. We can get rid of him now. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And I just hope that this is not a trend alert for Trick because I do see a lot of potential in him. I know there's been some pushback about his matches. Honestly, with the booking, he hasn't had a chance to do enough because of, as you said, Sami Zayn being a heel, even though he's supposed to be a babyface. How can I showcase what he can do with booking that is detrimental to showcasing him?
And I want to also mention Damian Priest, another person of color, was in the ring at that time. So that was really, really cool to see. And here's also why Cody has heat with me now. Now, not real heat, but wrestling heat. 2 SmackDowns ago, he did the whole thing with Jacob Fatu of like, I have to vocalize what everyone's thinking here in that you were once arrested in your young life. And because of that, like, we're worried about you and shouldn't you handle yourself in a bit? Like, I was like, what are we doing with Cody Rhodes here? Like, didn't we do this in AEW already? And it caused him to get booed out of the company. Like, are we going to be this misguided on who Cody Rhodes is? Like, Jacob Fatu was the coolest dude in that segment. Just, he was like, rock him with his rhymes, like, just perfectly. And Cody went male Karen on him. And I'm like, what are we doing with Cody? Like, is this just, or we have to be turning Cody heel, right?
Listen, the suspenders are killing me. They need to go away. And watching that segment, it was giving Law Office with a touch of Joe Clark from Lean On Me. It was a hybrid of that I did not like. Like, Cody, no, you cannot do this. Don't.
I was gobsmacked. And I only saw a couple of people who I know do stuff like this, like even really mention it. So maybe it went over people's heads. Maybe they didn't understand like some of the context. I don't know. Like I was appalled, and didn't seem like a lot of people were appalled. But anyways, all right. So after Cody throws Trick out, we get Royce Keys, aka Powerhouse Hobbs. He clotheslined Priest over the top. Austin Theory was in next, then Bronson Reed. So we're getting some Vision folks in. Ilya Dragunov came in, and this was a kind of an interesting one. La Parka And again, like I said with the women's match, we had to get all the Japanese women at once. Now we have to get the luchadors in. La Parca and Dragon Lee come in right after each other. Logan Paul was number 20. Bronson Reed clothesline Hobbs over the top. So, Hobbs was pushed to an extent in this match, but it seems like it doesn't seem like they see him to be like the next big thing like they did with Oba. But at the same time, you can't really do the repeat of Oba. He's still in the match, and you still had Brock Lesnar coming out. So I understand the elimination. Bronson Reed had La Parca on his shoulders, and Theory drop kicked him over the top, which was a cool elimination. And then Bronson Reed pressed Dragon Lee over the top. So he was out very quickly. Both luchadors out. LA Knight was in next. Giant reaction from this crowd. LA Knight dumped Austin Theory. Then he also got Bronson Reed, which I was very surprised for that one. I thought Reed was going to kind of be in there until the end. And then Brock was in next. Paul Heyman came in with Brock Lesnar. At one point, Michael Cole said, "How does Brock Lesnar come back bigger than ever every time?" And I was like, you really want me to answer that one, Michael? Because I have an answer for you, but I don't know if you really want me to answer that one. And then we got to something very cool. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar were about to face off. Then The Miz comes out. And The Miz is about to come in the ring. And Lesnar just gives him a look. And Miz was like, uh-oh, I'm going back out of this ring. But then the rest of the wrestlers who were in the ring, they double team Brock and Oba. Oba and Brock kill all these dudes, like Dragunov, who is like killing everybody on SmackDown. He throws chops at Lesnar. Lesnar laughing at this man's chops and just no-sells them, tosses him over the top. So poor Dragunov. Phoenix comes in, does a dive right on Brock, just tosses him aside like a bag of potatoes. Brock gives Oba a suplex and then gives Phoenix an F5, tosses him out. So Phoenix was in there for seconds. Oba finally knocks down Brock with a clothesline, and then he goes after Logan Paul. And as he goes after Logan Paul, Brock sneaks up behind Oba, tosses him out. So Oba is out. And what I liked about this, even, Brock tossing Oba out is fine. What I like about this is they left us wanting more. Do you want to see Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi?
Yes. And I want Oba to demolish Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They did a great job teasing the physical confrontation for 2 eliminations, or 2 90-second intervals, I should say. And they teased it. We got it. I enjoyed it. Was I a little salty about the elimination? Yes. But they're building up to something that I am intrigued by, because now we know, in all likelihood, Oba's got Brock's number at WrestleMania. If you're trying to make a made man, that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So then, like you had said in the beginning, Cody and LA Knight just clothesline Brock over the top, and Michael Cole's like, "Oh, hey, I think Brock is eliminated. All right, Jey Uso's coming out." And I was just like, wait, what? My goodness. Like, Brock was the most important guy in this ring, and he gets eliminated. And Michael Cole was like, "Oh, yeah, I knew that one was coming. That's written down in my script right here."
Yep, no need to get up for that announcement. Well, he's gone, guys. Next.
So Jey Uso comes out, and this man, was this a 5-minute time limit before the next guy? Because Jey Uso is in the audience. He's coming down, taking his sweet time, and he finally climbs over the barricade. And I thought Brock was actually going to take him out, but he did not. Jay kind of looked over just to make sure. Like, he's like kind of looking over. He's like, okay, I'm good. Gets in the ring. And they play the song again. He goes on to the top turnbuckle. And then Roman comes out. And, Roman gets a lot of flack for, taking forever to get to the ring, generally. He got to the ring twice as fast as Jay did. So Roman, if anybody should get some flack for that, it's Jay. Roman beat him to the ring. And so then Roman gets in the ring. And then we get happy-go-lucky Roman, and he's like smiling, and this is his little cuz, who's like doing his own thing, and he's like, play the song again. And Jay's like, "Oh, you want me to play the song again?" and he does it, and then the song plays, and then Roman punches this man right in the chin. And then Roman speared and eliminated The Miz. Jacob Fatu was next. Cody was waiting for Fatu, but he had Roman on his mind too. So he's kind of looking at Roman. He sees Fatu coming. You have two options here. And out of the two options, Cody actually picked option number 3, which was stick my face between the top and middle rope so Jacob could just punch me. And that's what he chose. And so then they're fighting outside the ring. Roman and Jay actually work together here. They hit the 1D on Cody, which made me think, where the hell is Jimmy? Jimmy's been AWOL.
Yes, I think he's at home with Naomi.
Okay.
I think there's a reason why baby might be coming imminently.
Okay.
And you want to be close
reason.
to home. And
That's
it's a high risk pregnancy too.
That's a good reason to be home. Good on Jimmy. And I'm actually glad that that's the reason. He's being a good husband and a pops, but I was just worried that like he got injured or something. So Cody hits LA Knight with a disaster kick. LA Knight is out. Randy Orton is in next, and then Gunther is number 30. So this is a pretty stacked end of this match when it comes to star power. So Javon Evans, we talked about this Sol Ruka moments over winning the match opportunity. Javon Evans tries to hit the OG cutter on Randy. You need to watch some tape of one Randall K. Orton, my man, because you know what Randy is setting you up for. He is setting you up to get hit with a giant RKO, and that's exactly what happened. Randy tosses him out. Then Penta, who was I don't even think I mentioned Penta, but Penta came out at number 23, and Gunther tosses Penta out. Jacob throws Cody over the top, but Cody's feet do not hit the floor, so he's kind of dangling. And a man who was not the same guy who stomped Braun Breaker throws a kick at Cody and knocks him out. It was Drew McIntyre in his tank top, and just I don't know where he came from. Was he hiding? I don't know, but he kicks Cody out, and he's very happy because now he doesn't have to face Cody at WrestleMania, even though he's probably still facing Cody at WrestleMania. The joke's going to be on Drew here at some point. So Roman throws Jacob over the top because Jacob, his focus is on Cody, and then he sees Drew, and then he gets distracted by Drew. So Roman takes advantage of that and throws Jacob over the top. Jay hits a spear on Roman. And you know how, you would think, these guys are family. Roman wants Jay to be his best self. So Jay hits his finishing move on Roman. Roman eats the finishing move, and Jay's about to throw him out, and Roman just reverses it and throws him out. Just like, I'm eating your finisher here, buddy, and I'm gonna be good. He sold his stomach a little bit. And then Logan Paul, he's about to hit his little flip Hangman Page move, and he flips over, and he's about to come at Roman. Roman hits Superman punch, tosses him out. Randy then hits Roman with an RKO. Gunther tosses Randy out. So it's down to Roman and Gunther. And this is the moment where I missed what was actually happening. I was like, oh, they're actually going to take advantage of Gunther killing John Cena and AJ Styles. And this is Gunther's time to shine. And very quickly, Roman Reigns was like, come on, bro. Like, do you really think that's going to happen? Hits the spear on Gunther and tosses him over the top. Roman Reigns wins the match. And I thought, I had some thoughts on some of the booking choices and some of the way that the guys went out. Overall, still an entertaining match. Still does what the Royal Rumble usually does in a strong way. So I was ultimately fine with it, though. It did feel a little bit of same with Roman having his hand raised there at the end.
Yeah, it was a solid Royal Rumble match. It kind of faded towards the end. And then Roman won. And I was like, okay, it's been 11 years between Rumble victories, so that's okay.
Has it really been that long for him?
It has been 11 years, yes,
Oh,
since
wow.
2015. So there's been a gap between this one and the last one he won back in 2015. So, hey, at least he got a better reception 11 years after the fact, because the first time he won, the people hated him. And even his cousin couldn't save him. So
Yeah.
this is definitely a step up. But overall, some eliminations were curious. It was underwhelming in spots. I think that when Brock was eliminated, it could have been Oba, honestly, to make him in that moment. But they're saving that for WrestleMania, which I totally understand. And then we got the most expensive fireworks display I've ever seen
what was that
in the
about?
history of WWE. Good God. It lasted 5 minutes and 2 entire songs.
And I saw some people going like, what's WrestleMania going to be like next year? Wow. And was that really what, 2:00 in the morning?
It was legitimately 2 o'clock in the morning, and those fireworks are going off. I mean, drones, fireworks, 2 entire songs played, and they just showed all of it. It would never end. I was like, WrestleMania is going to last until 4 a.m. next year over there.
All right. Raw comes from Philadelphia on Monday. So just kind of looking at the schedule, they have 1, 2, 3. So we're 4 weeks out until Elimination Chamber. So they're going to get some WrestleMania business done here. And then Elimination Chamber is about 5 weeks from WrestleMania. So, just a little bit over 2 months and WrestleMania season will be back. Are you and Scott going to be back on Monday night?
Yes.
I know Scott has a new job, so we're trying to figure out the schedule. I don't know what that means for we've been the rap has been coming on YouTube post Monday Night Raw these days. So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, I think that we are going to be on a little later, maybe 11:15ish, potentially on Monday, talking about the fallout from the Royal Rumble. Looking forward to that. Stateside reactions should be very interesting regarding the winners of the Rumbles.
And Lady B asked the question, which is what I thought, which is, does Chris Jericho show up on Monday? He could, I was thinking Elimination Chamber just because of Chicago being where he debuted in '99, and that kind of being a fun little wrinkle there. Some 27 years later, that's kind of crazy. But he could show up in Philly. I think he's still on the AEW roster page technically, so who knows what's going on with that. But it's WrestleMania season, man. This is where things start to heat up. Anything can happen.
Yeah, so until his name and picture falls off the website, he is still under contract. So when that happens, if you stalk the website and you see his name gone, then you can say, oh, he's going to be on one of these shows very soon. So until that happens, Tony is still saying, listen, until otherwise noted, I still write that man's checks.
I don't generally talk about wrestling plans with the pro wrestlers who I sometimes communicate with, but Jericho, I'm probably, if I don't know if this actually happens or not, but I had this idea and I asked him, I said, hey, when you and Benoit won the tag titles on Monday Night Raw against Austin and Triple H, that would actually be a fun history show. And I did a bunch of research and he's like, well, we should do it for the 25th anniversary, which would be 2026. And I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. But then what if he's in WWE? Dude, am I persona non grata because I do something with Dave Meltzer? I might be. Who knows if I'll even be able to do that show. So anyways, all right. Keila, be looking forward to you and Scott coming back on the wrap. And I'm actually hoping that we get a good newsworthy Raw after Rumble. I really want to see kind of the tea leaves being set, and that'll be good for your guys' show because people will be interested in your discussion. So check out our YouTube page. We'll put the live stream up a few hours before Raw, but Keila and Scott will have their say, and we'll get to hear Scott's thoughts on what happened today in the Rumble as well. I saw he was watching it late. Like when we were done, he was like, "Hey, just got done with the first women's match. Where was Bianca?" Like he was screaming in chat.
Devastated. Like me too. I was hurt too.
Yeah.
If I could give her my finger, I would at this point.
I know, no kidding. Poor thing. Like that's got to be so frustrating for her. So, all right, that'll be it from here. So for Keila, I'm Double G. I want to thank the people who were hanging out with us in the chat. As always, one of our faves, Fernando. I saw Maria was in there as well. Liam was hanging out. Lady B, who I enjoy very much in our Discord. Kevin Abreu was hanging out. There was somebody else who was saying that they don't actually have a name. They have a bunch of symbols, but that person knows who they are, was saying that I knew everything that was happening last week. So Royal Rumble wasn't all that newsworthy to me. Shout out to you as well. And Doom Tribe as well. So, all right. For Keila, I'm Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.